sending the closest one to the highest priority call. They were fighting inside the house, then everything spilled out into the front yard. Neighbors heard screams. They came out, saw our victim hurt, and came to her aid. That is new information. It has not even been released here at the watch party. We do see, though, a number of representatives from Pat Roberts' campaign coming in now. We expect him to make a speech soon. And for those who gathered here tonight, supporters of the initiative, they say it is every reason to celebrate. We have made our way to 13th Street since the last time we spoke, where obviously you can tell Wichita police have blocked off 13th. That $5 million is just for the jail. That major expansion project they've been asking for now will likely have to wait. A day she says she will never forget, bringing with her prayers from her university family. Education was a hot button issue here in Kansas this campaign season. The latest counterfeit trend they're seeing, turning $5 bills into 50s. Much of today's hearing was spent making certain that Curtis Mitchell understands what he's doing by pleading guilty. Why did it take possibly years for someone to come forward to report suspected abuse? Charged with first-degree murder in the death of her son. Her next appearance in Sumner County Court is scheduled for January 8th. Do our schools really know enough about the people they trust with our kids? I investigate who's in our schools. Tonight, her mother struggles to realize she'll never see her little girl again. Students and staff fill this hallway during the school day. It's the only thing that connects the rec center to the grade school. But during school hours, this door stays locked. President Obama says that this middle-class economics idea brings him back to his own family history, his own personal experiences, and of course, didn't fail to mention the fact that he has Kansas roots. Reporting in Lawrence, Brittany Glas, KSN News.
This day was special for me, and she made it special.
A treasured birthday card speaks well wishes a year later.
And in her handwriting, she wrote, "Honey, I can't imagine my world without you. Happy birthday, love, sweetheart." And she talked about her world without me, and now I live my world without her.
It's been 1 year since the plane crash that killed Larry Menestrina's beloved wife, Natalia. For him, life a year later may appear very much the same. This time last year,
they sang happy birthday to me, and she sang it in her beautiful little sing-songy Ukrainian accent, which was always so beautiful.
A festive display on the family's fireplace remains. The presents from Natalia never opened.
You know, I'm not ready to take all that stuff down, because if that wasn't up, there would be nothing. It's a reminder.
Before he had the chance,
I was downstairs paying bills, and she came by and said, "Sweetheart, I'm going to bed now." It never crossed my mind that that would be the last time that I would not, ever see her again.
Not even 12 hours later, on Thursday, October 30th.
And I came to the airport road, and I saw the black billowing flames come out, and I didn't know exactly which part of the building she was in. And I said, "I think my wife is in that building."
At the time of her death, Natalia Menestrina was working as a Russian translator for Flight Safety International. When the plane crashed, she was inside a simulator in the building.
And I just kept looking at a hallway, and I thought any minute she's going to be walking around with one of her goofy little grins, and I'm going to run up to her and give her a big hug.
Larry Menestrina calls his late wife his soulmate.
Suddenly, tragically, it's gone. It just leaves a void in your heart that is gone.
Menestrina says it was most difficult to have to tell their children that their mother passed away.
I had to exhibit strength and courage.
That courage bolstered by his wife's loving memory.
It's a reminder. It's a reminder of how much she loved and cared for me.
Giving Larry Menestrina the strength to celebrate birthdays all year long.
I'm going to do my darndest to keep my wife's memory alive for my daughters
The county's call volume has increased at a rate of about 3 to 4% each year. With more calls coming in that put a greater demand on EMS, we revealed an alarming trend that could impact you the next time you call 911.
Sedgwick County 911, what city is your emergency in?
You call 911 and an ambulance comes and it takes me to the hospital.
That's what you expect.
There's a lot that goes on to make that happen.
Every time you call 911,
Sedgwick County 911, what city is your emergency?
the call is sent to both EMS and fire. More often than not, an ambulance won't be the first to respond to your emergency in Sedgwick County. Who will? The fire department.
In a lot of the cases, that is true, where they will get there first, and everybody starts out with the basic assessment.
Most firefighters are now trained EMTs, equipped with many of the same tools paramedics have, including training and basic life support.
All right, hun. You don't need anything from us then?
WFD can't transport patients to area hospitals, but when they respond, they significantly cut down the wait time for patients. We saw this firsthand in the 2 days we spent riding along with EMS crews in the Wichita area. In one 6-hour period, inside an ambulance and alongside paramedics, each of the 10 911 calls we went out on, Wichita firefighters got there before we did. So why's fire beating EMS to the scene?
They have a lot more stations around the city.
Both the Wichita and Sedgwick County Fire Departments operate on a grid system. Together, they work out of 30 total brick and mortar stations that are scattered around the area, each station with a designated coverage area. If a fire breaks out near Market and 8th Street in downtown Wichita, Fire Station 1 would respond because, well, they're closest. For EMS, there's only 15 brick and mortar locations to cover that same area, leading EMS to operate more like Uber. The closest ambulance goes to the higher priority call. Ambulances are constantly on the go, hoping they'll be close to the next call that comes in.
We have to balance the need, the demand with the geography. And so we try to do both the best we can with what resources we have available.
But that's tough.
It is tough.
Sedgwick County does its best to predict where those calls will be. They track 2 years of historical data, where and when calls have come in. The darker the color, the greater the demand. Then they position their ambulances in the places they think will be closest to the next emergency. A real-time tracking system knows where each ambulance is, sending the closest one to the highest priority call. But this kind of mobile operation leaves gaps in the service. When one ambulance has to move to cover a serious call, it leaves a hole like this one behind. Those holes can lead to longer response times. Every time you dial 911 in need of emergency care, a stopwatch starts. The county tracks every second how long it takes crews to get to you. Within the city, it should take less than 9 minutes. In suburban Sedgwick County, less than 11 minutes. And in rural areas, less than 16. It's no secret to the head of EMS, they're not meeting their mark.
We're not as reliable as we once were over the years.
And there's data to prove it. In 2011, the county started tracking response times and producing monthly performance reports. EMS sets the standard that each month they'll meet or exceed their on-time response rate on at least 90% of calls. We spent months pouring through nearly 5 years of data, researching how often the county achieved that monthly expectation. In urban areas, EMS meets its own standard more than 98% of the time. But outside city limits, it's a whole different story.
The numbers have reflected, especially in the suburban and rural areas, we're not as reliable as we once were several years ago.
In rural areas, that monthly expectation was met only about 28% of the time. And in suburban areas, it's worse, only 16%. We took the concerns straight to county leaders.
They'll be taken care of with existing resources.
People in these areas of the county might argue that it is an imminent concern, that having an EMS station concerning health, concerning critical calls, that could mean life or death in terms of seconds, response times. What would you say to those families?
We're still going to meet our response time goals. See, that's why I'm saying, I understand. Okay, in general, yeah, EMS stations are important, yes, but the fact that we didn't build this one right now is not anything to be concerned about.
What the county's not building? An EMS station in northeast Sedgwick County. In the last year, EMS requested 2 more stations to physically fill in those coverage holes. Commissioners approved funding for one in southeast Sedgwick County, but denied funds for a northeast station.
With more investment in that area, we would have clearly better response times. Long term, this is where the growth is, this is what we need, let's plan for it, here's the time, let's move on it.
Commissioner Unruh says it's only a matter of time before this way of operating ends in tragedy.
We could bump into a real crisis if we don't plan ahead and make provision for that.
The city and Sedgwick County have operated under some form of mutual agreement since 1975. So does the city of Wichita feel like they're being shortchanged by providing emergency response from firefighters? It's something we're looking into, but so far council members tell me public safety is a priority they're willing to help fund. Brittany Glas, KSN News. It was a bittersweet return for the Liberal BJs.
I could not leave this baseball team behind.
It was the first game the amateur teams played since the tragic accident that took the life of 9-year-old bat boy Kaiser Carlisle.
Out here at the ball field, of course, honoring Kaiser, so it's tremendous. Something that I guess I would have never dreamed of.
That's what the night was all about, honoring the boy who brought so much to the BJs.
I've still got another kid out there that needs daddy, you know, and she is a rock right now.
Kaiser's little sister taking time to honor her brother with a strong first pitch.
Get your Kaiser Carlisle baseball card right here.
Fans eager to donate to the family of the boy, from blue ribbons, his initials on the scoreboard, even his own baseball card. Kaiser was honored.
I've never seen this team so focused, ever.
There's no doubt Kaiser could be felt at Lawrence Dumont tonight, his father says.
Is Kaiser here with them, or the fact that Kaiser is just in their minds? It's Kaiser that's pushing these guys.
The love they had for their smallest teammate.
It's just love. I mean, like I've said it before, everybody's showing their love and support for my son. But it really hit home to know that, I mean, you know, there are people out there that care.
Kaiser's father says even with the heartache, Kaiser would have wanted him right here.
They've been with my son all year long. There's no way to just leave them high and dry now.